When you're starting your year off with blended learning, I highly, highly, highly suggest doing a unit zero. So with a unit zero, you'll just kind of have students go through and complete these different tasks. I would also model it with them. So going through it with them, making sure that they meet your expectations, practice it together, and then discuss or fix anything that might need fixed. So the first thing is like an intro lesson structure. So you kind of want to talk about how is the lesson going to be organized. So I might create a video that walks through how the lesson is going to be organized when I set up a game board or a roadmap for my students. Then I might walk through the expectations. So I might create an infographic or based on this video, I might have them do like a practice where they do a match of what I kind of said with how the lesson is structured. Then after that, I might walk through how to find a tracking piece. So again, using this and then having the students find a shape that they might want to use as their little tracking piece along the little game board might be able to help. So again, I might walk through how to set that up. You also might want to teach students how to use a timer. So some tasks you might say set a timer for 15 minutes and then go on. So if you're going to do that in your classroom, you might want to show students how to do that and then you can check to see if they did it correctly. Number 5, maybe you do like a getting to know you activity, and this could be kind of like a mastery check, exit ticket type of lesson. So then you're able to quickly make sure they know where to find it, they know where to turn it in at, and then you can have a quick conference with them so they are familiar with what that's going to look like. Then you might want to create like a video on your Google Classroom organization or your learning management system and just kind of walk through how are you organizing your learning? Are you putting everything in the classwork tab? Are you organizing it by numbers? Are you organizing it by week? Are you organizing it by topic? How are you organizing that Google Classroom for your students? After that, you might want to go over where do they find things? Where do they find different supplies that they might need so they can independently get those different supplies? Number 8 is what do they do to be successful? So maybe you have the students create a plan of what they need to do in order to be successful in this new type of learning in the classroom. Now, you could move these to must do activities, or you can kind of decide what should do activities you might want to do. But some of the can do activities that I have here, but again, you could add it in as however you want to do. You could also change these colors to make it must do, should do, and aspire to do. But learning to take notes. So maybe I want my students to learn how to take notes because that's really important to me. Maybe I want them to learn how to write an email. So I'm going to have them kind of go through that. And then right here, I like to have like today's goal. I think this really helps with executive functioning type of skills. So I might say, okay, your today's goal is to get to 3. So the students must try to get to 3. They can get ahead of pace. You might also have some students that are behind pace, but just kind of giving them a goal to get to can help. Maybe I want to do a mini lesson. So I saw a lot of students struggling with finding a tracking piece. So to start the day, on the next day, I'm going to do a quick mini lesson on how to do that. I could come up with some can do activities. So if they do finish, they can have some activities to do. And then I like this clarification because when I'm first starting creating these lessons, my students that are ahead of pace often come up to me for clarification. And so then I'm like, oh, I made that video wrong. So I can say, okay, there's a new video in Google Classroom because I typically send this out as make a copy. So when I send this out as make a copy, um, I want to make sure that my students are able to still watch that new video in Google Classroom. I can also go in here and maybe I want to say, okay, the teacher check, I want you to fill out the Google form when you're ready. Like I realized that it was just kind of crazy yesterday, so we're going to change that. So adding just a place for like any notifications changes, and I can tell the students in the mini lesson, but sometimes it's nice to just see it as well on the board. And so this one was just kind of some getting to know you activities. So I might, again, just kind of want to walk through how to learn in this new type of classroom. And then this is just a way if you wanted to hyperlink, it could go here. You could have your video, and then you could have them watch the video, create a plan, or whatever they need to do. You can even color code these as like must do, should do, and then like aspire to do type of lessons as well here. And then here they're going to watch a video and then this is probably the must do, maybe a must do. The review game could maybe be a should do. Here are just some other ideas that I was thinking about that could be added. And again, it just kind of depends on your classroom on what components you need to add. So what does it mean to master a skill? You might want to go over that with your students. How is the roadmap going to be organized, or your game board? How and where do students access material? How do they watch a video? Do they know to pause? Do they know to speed up? Do they know to slow it down or rewind or go back and rewatch it? Do they know how to take notes? Maybe you teach them sketchnoting. Maybe you teach them how to grab a piece of paper and take notes and pause that video. Or maybe you have guided notes for them. And then next thing is just kind of explaining those classroom expectations. What are those standard operating procedures? What is that SOP game? And then maybe going over with them some of those expectations. And then that class syllabus, maybe you are required to have a class syllabus that you want to add into there. So maybe you add that into your roadmap for them to explore at one of those areas. So again, maybe you add some getting to know you activities. These are really good for that quick mastery check to just kind of make sure that students are doing that correctly. Maybe you have them organize their Google Classroom, and here are some best practices on how to organize your Google Classroom. Maybe you do a classroom vision. Maybe you figure out what motivates your students and a quick check-in. So again, all of these are just kind of ideas that you can use with your students. Maybe you set up goal setting. Maybe you create like a student showcase where they have a website with all of their work for the year. Maybe you have them work on emails. Maybe you have them do a number mania. Maybe you have them focus on executive functioning. So all of these can be built in, but again, it kind of depends on what your classroom is and how you want to set this up. Another thing that I kind of saw that I like is maybe you could use this kind of design for your roadmap. You have different levels. So like level 1, level 2, level 3, and so on. And then the students could kind of do that as well. So if you want to, maybe this is a better setup for the Unit 0, or maybe you like this kind of look as well. But I would suggest having a Unit 0 to start your year when it comes to blended learning in your classroom.